Yeah, I often say, so people, particularly people with a second language, I've worked at the World Bank. I've been around people from all over the world that are trying to compete in an English-speaking world when it's their second language, like you had said. And they would say to me all the time, I want to sound like you. And I would always push back on that and say, really, the biggest reason that you want to sound like me is because you see that people are attentive to what I'm saying. And one of the hardest things, I think, for a non-English speaking person that's particularly grown up in a collectivistic culture or in a larger culture is that eye contact is something that's very, very difficult for them. And they don't realize that it's incredibly important for the speaker to be able to look in the eyes of the people that they're speaking to, that you're getting this constant feedback loop. And that one of the things that I have is, I grew up as the middle of 7 children, so making eye contact with everybody is very easy for me. But I use that as a way of saying, are you understanding what I'm saying? Are you liking what I'm saying? And as soon as I know that this person is, then I move to that person and I move to that person. But from the outsider's perspective, they think, oh, it's just the speed with which you use word or the forcefulness with which you speak. But I think I could ratchet all of those things down to 10% of what they are. And as long as I'm making eye contact and grabbing the eye contact of other people, that's what makes people feel like you're in that flow state that you're describing about having attention.
Yeah, so come back to the eye contact in a second. I think what I tell people is sincerity beats polish every time. As long as you're sincere about what you're saying, you'll communicate. In fact, if you get too polished, people will start to say, can I believe you? The thing about eye contact, and you're lucky if you were raised making eye contact. A lot of little boys weren't raised to make eye contact, or certain cultures. The thing is, all you have to do is to make 10 seconds of eye contact when you first start speaking and 10 seconds of eye contact when you start listening. That's it. And then you can do what feels comfortable. It's only that initial start. And I like what you said about moving from person to person. Okay, 10 seconds of eye contact here, and then 10 seconds of eye contact here. So it's not like all of a sudden I've got to learn eye contact. No, but you can train yourself to do 10 seconds at the beginning, and then every once in a while in between. It's an interesting thing because the whole nonverbal thing is overrated. The only people who are really good at nonverbal reading are like jury consultants and maybe Israeli security who have been trained on profiling and reading people who are anxious or whatever, customs officials. You and I, we think that we can interpret what people are saying by how they look, and we're clueless because people don't manage how they look. They just sit the way that's comfortable. So on the other hand, in a meeting, if you lean in, make eye contact, be attentive, take everything else off the table so you've got no other work, no smartphone, people will think. So here's the thing. Attention is equated with caring. If you pay attention to me, I make up you care. And once you make up that I care, I feel safe with you. So absolutely, eye contact.
I 100% agree on your attention thing. I would push back on your nonverbals. I think that there is a huge amount that you gather from the way that people sit, and maybe that is the function that you're talking about. Maybe you're just gauging whether or not they're attentive or not. But I find that, for example, the mask culture that we have going on right now is extremely unsettling to me. To me, I go to the grocery store or somewhere out in public, and my inability to read the facial emotions of people, which we were evolved to do. We're able to read facial expressions before we learn language. And so our ability to understand intent and our ability to understand the temperature that people have going on inside of them, I think is so deeply embedded that it actually is a precursor to words.
Well, I agree with you there. It's called structural language. and you got structural language before you got representational language. So when your dad looked like that, you knew it was time to cease and desist. So you're absolutely right. That which you're taking in from tone of voice, that's why sometimes video gets in the way of thinking, because now I'm going to make stuff up based on the way you look. What I'm against is that people read in too much based on something. For instance, there's a traditional, well, if he's got his arms crossed, he's not liking what I'm saying. No, people cross their arms to be comfortable. So at the level of, I think something's going on for you, yes. At the level of, I can tell exactly what's going on for you, no way.
Yeah, that I totally agree with. And you're right. Like that, there was like a push for a while in popular television that there were people that could read the secret symbols of what's going on and be able to like intuit. I'm 100% with you on that idea. And I think, you know, I spend a lot of time with the scientists that you were talking about, and whether or not I often describe it as being a lot of those people are somewhere on the Asperger's spectrum. So they are hyper logical, and they either do not have the emotion clouding into that logic or they intentionally push it out. But if you try and read the person that is hyper logical, their body language as the same as you know, the Instagram mom that loves sharing her stories about her kids, those are like they're entirely different emotional languages. And so I'm with you 100%. I just think that that's such an interesting way that you're using to describe it, is basically you're gauging attention. And that really is a self-representation of where am I at in the hierarchy here? How am I doing? Am I moving forward, or am I being pushed out? And like when people get on that downward slope of oh no, people aren't paying attention to me, then they spiral out of control and they sound less and less genuine. They sound less and less confident, and then they lose more and more attention.
Well, and you're right. Now on the other side of it, if you know that the person who's speaking is taking everything personally based on how you look, well, then you should manage your physicalness so you look supportive. I remember scientists used to be sent to me before they would go talk to the board of directors of Monsanto. And if somebody was really nervous, then I would go up through my channel. I didn't know the board members. And I'd say, look, this person's going to be awesome, but he's pretty nervous. So let's get a couple people, when he starts speaking, nodding and smiling. So when he looks out, he's seeing a supportive audience. Don't be doing other work. Don't be thinking about something else. Pay attention to this person. And it always transformed it.
Thanks for checking out this podcast short. If you like this interview, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and hit that bell so you always get notified about this podcast. And if you're really interested in conversations like this, you may want to consider joining the Articulate Ventures Network. To find out more, go to network.articulate.ventures.